In this video, I'm showing you exactly how I make modern trap beats in Ableton 12 using my 2026 workflow. It's beginner friendly, step by step, and built to make your beats hit hard and sound professional. Let's jump right into it. I usually like to start with the melody. It sets the tone, gives me the direction for the whole track, and really helps build the vibe for everything that comes next. First, let's pick a scale and a tempo. I've been liking D sharp minor, but I think we're going to go with Phrygian because I think I want to do something a little darker in this video. So let's turn our scale on, and then to select your scale, hit the drop downs, and pick whichever scale you want. For darker melodies, piano is always a staple, so I found this really good emotional and dark preset in Noir. And I'm not always the best with chords, so I'm going to start with a top line melody. Now I'm going to hit B to enter pencil mode, and we're going to draw in a top line. And I find it easier to come to this top corner here and pick a slightly wider grid to make it easier to pencil the notes in. And then we'll make an adjustment to the second half for some variation. And then now I'm going to zoom out a bit here and then scroll down, find our root note. And then I'm going to take this and build out a basic triad. And then I think I like this note, so I'm going to try duplicating this down an octave as well. And I think this is a little too low, so I'm going to select everything and shift it up an octave. Oh, that's a lot better. And finally, I want to add a little bit of movement to these chords, so I'm going to pencil in some extra notes. And I know that's not actually in the scale, but that's okay because it sounds good, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. So I'm going to duplicate that and try to find another layer to fill it out a little bit. And I like that, but I think we're going to get rid of the chords. And I think we're going to use it actually just as an accent. And I found this really nice airy strings patch in analog strings. So let's layer in some strings. And then what if we bring those down an octave? And then I'm going to shift this up an octave just to see how it sounds. I'm going to duplicate all this, make a second pattern. That way this note can drag all the way out for a variation, and then we're going to delete it in the first clip. And then now I think I finally want to find a sound for an ARP or some other type of counter melody. Maybe like a pluck or something. Let's pencil in a small arpeggiated top line. And then with this pluck, add the new auto pan tremolo. And I'm going to boost this up to about 60%. And then I'm going to flatten out the shape a little bit. And then tweak this phase a little bit to kind of squeeze it together a little bit. And let's slow it down a tiny bit. I think I'm going to add some reverb to that as well. And now one final thing I want to do is try to find some texture. I kind of like this one. I don't particularly care for this big hit. So I have two options. I can either delete it, but I think that would add too much space. And then I'm going to hit Control E, and that's going to splice it. And then what I can do is I can drag my gain down to make it match the rest of the clip. Like that. And now it should sound a little better. Now I think this melody's sounding pretty good, so I'm going to render the whole thing out. Ableton 12.3 has this great new feature where it allows you to export groups. So I'm going to collapse my melody group and then duplicate it. And then I'm going to right click and hit bounce group in place. Now the whole melody's rendered in one track to process how you like. So I'm going to grab Portal and throw that on there and see if we can make some good textures out of it. And let's layer those two together and see how that sounds. So you can go in and pitch this up an octave and use it as a texture, or you can use it as a whole different alternate section. Now let's start layering in some drums. I like to start with the snares and the hi-hats because it helps set the tempo and set the bounce. So I'm going to start by trying to find a good snare. I think I like this one. And then I'm going to drag that into my snare channel on my drum rack. We're going to make an 8-bar MIDI clip. And then we're going to put a snare on every third. Now I'm going to find a good hi-hat. Probably switch to eighth notes for now. I try to keep the hi-hats off of the snares to let the snare punch through a little bit more. And then we'll duplicate that across. So I think I'm going to make this one a roll. I'm going to select it and hit Control E. And then this little cursor comes up and you can drag it up to make your roll. I usually go 3 or 4. Adding accent hits and percussion help fill out the bounce a little bit. So I'm going to find a few sounds to layer in for that. I think I'm going to start with an accent snare. That one's pretty good. Now I'm going to go into my hi-hat channel, and I'm going to go over to this control page, and I'm going to bring this random pan up to 25%. And that's going to make the hi-hats bounce side to side. Another thing I like to do is add a percussion loop. I'd recommend something with a little side to side movement and has a little texture in it. And now it's time to find an 808. 808s tend to get hard to hear when they're in the lower registers, so bump it up an octave or two and then you'll be able to hear it to lay them out easier. I'm going to select all those and bring them back down. And I'm going to boost the gain on this. By the way, if you like these drum sounds, they're all from my Raven drum kit that's part of my Grim Trap bundle dropping in early 2026. It's going to have a ton of drums, instrument loops and one-shots, textures, accents, melodies, and more. This drum kit alone has over 400 samples, so the bundle is a full suite for anyone looking to level up their trap beats. Head over to djcontour.com to sign up for the waitlist and for an exclusive launch day discount. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment and the description. Now finally, I'm going to add a kick. I specifically made all of these kicks tight and punchy, that way they'd cut through the 808s and add power. A really cool and easy way to make your kick drum pattern match your 808 pattern is to open up your drum rack and then select both clips. Now you can see here it has your main drums and your 808. So I'm going to click on my main drums and then focus. When you turn focus on, these gray notes are your 808s or whatever the other pattern is. I'm going to add a kick here, and then I'm going to fold it. That way it only shows the notes that I'm using. Now just start painting in your kick drum pattern to match the 808s instead of trying to do it by ear. And then this kick drum isn't hitting quite as hard as I want with this 808, so let's try to find a new one. Right off the bat, that one should be better. I think those drums are sounding pretty good, and I definitely don't want to overdo it, so let's do a quick arrangement and finish up the beat. And now that the beat's finished, let's give it a quick run through. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from it. If you want to check out any of my other videos, click here.